Can you really take pictures of the stars with just your phone? The answer is yes, and today I'll show you how to do it step by step. First, let's talk about the phone you're using. Not all phones are created equal when it comes to taking photos at night. Some have special night modes built in that help capture low-light scenes. If your phone has this feature, make sure you know how to turn it on. It will be a huge help when you're shooting the stars. Now, one of the most important things you'll need for astrophotography is a tripod. You might be wondering, why do I need a tripod? Well, when taking pictures of stars, even the tiniest movement can blur the image. A tripod keeps your phone steady, so every star stays sharp. If you don't have a tripod, you could try propping your phone against something solid, but a tripod is the best choice. Next, if your phone has something called Pro mode or manual mode, you'll want to use that. It gives you control over settings like exposure, ISO, and focus. These are all key things to help you get the best possible picture of the night sky. If your phone doesn't have this, don't worry. There are apps you can download to help. Let's talk about ISO. ISO controls how sensitive your phone's camera is to light. In astrophotography, you want to let in as much light as possible, so you'll want to raise your ISO, but be careful not to go too high. If you do, your picture might turn out grainy or noisy. Finding the right balance is key. Try starting around ISO 800 and adjusting from there. Another important setting is exposure time. The longer your exposure, the more light your camera will capture, which is really important for getting good pictures of stars. For most phones, setting the exposure time between 15 to 30 seconds works well. But remember, during this time, your phone must stay completely still. So again, that's where your tripod comes in. It's also a good idea to turn off your flash. When you're shooting stars, the flash will add unnecessary light and can actually ruin your shot. So make sure it's off before you start. When you're focusing your camera, you'll want to set it to manual focus. Most phones will try to automatically focus on something, but in the dark, this can be tricky. By manually setting your focus to infinity, you can ensure the stars stay sharp in your photos. Here's a fun tip. You can use apps to help guide you. There are several great night sky apps like Star Walk or Sky Safari. These apps can help you find constellations, planets, and even the Milky Way, which will make your pictures even more exciting. Next up is your shutter button. If you press the button on your screen, it can shake the phone just a little bit, which could ruin your photo. To fix this, use a remote shutter or the timer function on your phone. That way, you can avoid any shaking when the camera takes the shot. Hey, if you're finding these tips helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, Photo Tech Guy, and share this video. Your support helps us bring more useful guides like this to you. Now, let's get back to the video. One of the best things you can do is get away from city lights. Light pollution from street lamps, houses, and cars can wash out the stars in your photo. The further you can get from these sources of light, the better. Ideally, find a spot out in the countryside or near the ocean. Another important thing to consider is the moon phase. A full moon will brighten up the sky and make it harder to see stars, so try shooting during a new moon when the sky is at its darkest. This will make a huge difference in what your camera is able to capture. While you're at it, try to capture the Milky Way. It's one of the most spectacular things you can photograph in the night sky. The Milky Way is easier to see in areas with less light pollution, and it looks especially good during the summer months. Before you go out to shoot, always check the weather conditions. Clouds will block your view of the stars, so you'll want to make sure you're shooting on a clear night. If your phone allows it, consider shooting in RAW format. RAW images capture more data, which means you'll have more flexibility when it comes time to edit your photos. Even though these files take up more space, it's worth it if you want to get the best final image. A big mistake people make is using digital zoom. Don't zoom in when you're shooting astrophotography because it will lower the quality of your image. Instead, crop your image later when you're editing if you want to zoom in on something specific. To get the best shots, increase your exposure time. This allows the camera to gather more light, revealing more stars in your picture. Try starting with a 15-second exposure and see how it looks. You can adjust from there based on the results. Editing your photos is just as important as taking them. You can use apps like Lightroom or Snapseed to brighten your image, increase contrast, or sharpen the stars. This step can really make your images pop, so don't skip it. Another fun tip is to include something else in your shot, like trees, mountains, or buildings. This adds composition to your photo and makes the stars feel more connected to the landscape. It gives your picture a sense of scale, showing just how vast the night sky really is. Always remember to clean your lens before shooting. Even a small amount of dust or smudges on your camera lens can affect the clarity of your image, especially when you're dealing with tiny points of light like stars. When you're out there shooting, don't be afraid to experiment with different angles. Move your phone around and try different perspectives to see what works best. You might be surprised by what you capture. There are even tools like the Dark Sky Finder app that can help you locate areas with less light pollution. This makes it easier to find the perfect spot to shoot your photos. Keep in mind that taking long exposure shots can drain your battery quickly. Make sure your phone is fully charged before you head out, and if possible, bring a portable charger just in case. If you're planning to shoot on a windy night, be extra cautious. Wind can shake your tripod or even knock it over, which could ruin your shots. Pick a calm night if you can, or make sure your tripod is weighted down securely. You can also buy a lens attachment for your phone to enhance its ability to capture distant objects. These clip-on lenses can help your phone take clearer and more detailed photos of the night sky. When taking pictures of the stars, it's important to take multiple shots. Don't rely on just one photo. Stars move across the sky as the Earth rotates, and conditions can change, so having multiple shots gives you a better chance of getting a perfect image. Lastly, be patient. Astrophotography takes time, and you may need to try again and again to get the shot you want. Practice in different settings and under different conditions to see how your phone performs. The more you experiment, the better you'll get at capturing stunning images of the night sky. So there you have it. With just your phone, a few adjustments, and some patience, you can capture incredible photos of the stars, planets, and even the Milky Way. Now that you know the basics, it's time to go outside and put them into practice. The universe is waiting to be photographed, and you're ready to capture it.